Talkie Cross. Hi, my name is Anna.
And I'm Peyton.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back with the next episode of our debut versus recent analysis series. And we are both so excited because we will be looking at Infinite and comparing their debut music video, Come Back Again, Tashi Torawa, to their most recently promoted song as a group, Tell Me.
So, Infinite debuted as a 7-member boy group in 2010 under Woollim Entertainment, but they are currently now 6 members. And in case you didn't know from watching this channel, we are both really big fans of Infinite. Peyton, talk about your experience as an in-spirit.
Yeah, so I love Infinite. Oh my gosh. I became their fan at the end of 2014, early 2015, and Infinite is actually one of the first groups that I introduced myself to and learned all about. Dance-wise, Infinite is my favorite group. Like, on this channel before, I've talked about how EXO is my ultimate group, but if I was looking at it purely from a dance perspective, Infinite would be my ultimate group. And honestly, I'm not even ashamed to say that there have been times over the last 5-6 years since I got into Infinite that they have been my top group, even though usually it stays EXO, just because I love them that much. Like, wow, they're one of my favorite groups ever. Even now, even though they're technically like more on a hiatus while the members are in the military, I still regularly listen to their whole discography. Like, I'll go days where that's all I listen to. I literally so regularly listen to Kim Sung-gyu's live solo concert that it's not even a surprise to Anna anymore. So, like, you could say that I kind of like them. My bias, in case you don't know, in Infinite is Kim Sung-gyu, and he has always been my bias. But even with as much as I love Infinite, it looks like I don't compared to Anna's experience with them, so Anna, tell me more.
So, I really love Infinite, and I know in our Q&A I said that 17 was my top group, but before 17 was my top group, Infinite was my top group, but the only reason they got pushed down is because they don't promote as much right now because like military hiatus and everything. But basically, I have been following Infinite since not right at their debut, but within 2 months after their debut in 2010. So like they were the first group that I have been with since debut and have consistently been a fan of. They were my first K-pop concert in 2013 with their first world tour, One Great Step, in November. They are the only K-pop group that I have ever done like online fandom stuff for too. I think they're great.
They are great.
Yeah, and I'm a really big fan, and sorry, Oh, but in terms of a bias, I don't know right now.
I feel like I can clarify more for you. Anna's bias in Infinite has like evolved as she has also gotten older, like through her different life stages, so she doesn't know right now. It's in transition. If you are just joining us for this episode of the series and you're curious about how we chose the groups and how we'll be doing our commentary, then there is a short description in the box below. But if you want the full explanation, then you can find that in episode 1. And now we can watch the music video.
Oh my god, this aspect ratio.
Oh my god.
What is that? It's 10 years old. Oh my god, wait, I just realized it's 10 years.
Nope. Wow. Oh my gosh. The styling for the performance video is the black and white set, and this is one of my favorite stylings I think ever in K-pop. I just think it's so classic.
Oh.
Yeah. Like it's such a classic dance styling. Oh.
I remember that. Where he like randomly
yeah.
Whoa.
Wow. Every time I see this dance though, I just think about how they still argue about L taking his center spot.
About what?
About L taking Sungkyu's center spot with it.
우와, 맛있어. 너무 맛있었어.
They are pretty young in this, but they weren't styled like the way that groups this age are styled now when they debut, you know?
Oh, like,
They're
I have to
older.
remember, in this music video, they're all younger than I.
Oh, so cool. Their dancing has always been so good.
Wow! Oh, I forgot that this was
What?
wow. What is that?
It's a little fake fox. Anna!
I'm so confused.
Anna!
I know. I'm low-key embarrassed for how I just acted, but I know that I'm gonna do it again. So
He's so pretty.
I mean, I
he-
know, but I'm
He's
just
beautiful. On the inside, too.
I need to not do this. I just keep going like this the whole time.
도망쳐버렸어 익숙해져 점점 착각처럼 끝이 온 줄 알았어 맞춰버렸어 또 난 뻔한 드라마 속에 서 있는 것 같아 텅 비어 허전해 그저 후회뿐만 In my mind 달콤한 너의 말 그때처럼 너에게 듣고 싶어 In my heart 날 위로
Where's Namu?
돌려볼게 안아볼게 다시 뜨거웠던 때로 어디든 네가 그리워 못 참겠어 제발 다시 내게 돌아와줘 제발 다시 내게 돌아와줘 어디 가든 어디든 네가 그리워 못 참겠어
I love him, too. I love them all.
내게 돌아와줘
We're not saying anything. Oh my god.
Oh, right. Sorry.
We're supposed to be filming.
Right. We're filming a reaction. Wow, okay.
I don't even know what to say.
Hey, and I don't know if that what you were expecting me to do. Like, were
I
you
don't know
really
either.
expecting me to react when it's infinite? Wow.
Well, our acting has gotten better. I'm not trying to think of anything. I don't know.
All I'm just gonna say, all that's going on in my mind is the song lyrics. And 와, 멋있어. 와, 잘생겼다. Wow.
I'm just thinking over and over, like, I love them. I love him. I love him too. I love him too.
Actually, no. One thing that came on in my mind was when Tongwoo came up for his part, I was reminded of the year that I had a huge Tongwoo phase.
이렇게나 이기적인 내가 널 안아볼게 네가 그리워 못 참겠어 제발 다시 내게 돌아와줘 제발 다시 내게 돌아와줘 어딜 가든 어디든 네가 그리워 못 참겠어 제발 다시 내게 돌아와줘
Oh, also, I've been meaning to say that tree, the singular tree, is beautiful. The shot with that.
It is, yeah. Don't cry, baby.
내게 돌아와줘, baby.
God, I love them so much.
I miss them.
Well, if you've ever wondered what we're like when we watch music videos not while we're reacting,
There's a switch that I turn on in my mind for this channel because I'm like watching these music videos and listening critically. I do know how to turn that off and just like fangirl and enjoy things, and this is what happened.
my switch just short-circuited. It was like, you're supposed to be reacting, but my heart was like, no, it's Infinite.
I know. But before we officially start our comments on their growth, we just wanted to have a small disclaimer. Because we are such big fans of them and we know how talented they are and we hold them to a very high standard, we are going to be more critical of them in our commentary. So if it comes across as like a little harsh or that we don't like them, that's not the case, as you could tell by our reactions just now. It's just because like we know how good they are and how far they've come.
Alright, Anna, is your mind prepared enough to talk about Infinite critically? Or is it as prepared as it can be?
It's as prepared as it can be. So, Infinite's vocal growth is truly astounding to me because there are some obvious members who have grown vocally, but there are also some that might not be as obvious. But just in general, as a group, every single member has grown so much from debut. Just to get it out of the way, obviously, with every single group, more stage experience, getting more stable, getting more comfortable on live stages, all of that stuff. But now, like, focusing on the details more, for the more, I guess, obvious members' vocal growth, it would be Samjong, L, Myungsu, and Seungyeol. They at the beginning like didn't have as many lines. I mean, like they didn't train as long as the rest of the members in vocals especially, so obviously like at debut they weren't as comfortable with it. To give like short descriptions of how they've grown, just like one thing is Songjung, when he would sing in the early days, he would like only sing in head voice, but then he's learned to sing in other voices as well. So one place where it's showcased really well is Taepung, the eye, because for one of his lines he's singing in a mixed voice instead. His natural voice color and tone suits those more like head voice, emotional, quieter parts in the songs well, because like that's what he gets for like every single title track. But in Taepung, he has a moment where he's singing in mixed voice, and I was just so proud because I was like, oh, that's like something that's difficult to learn. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum is Myungsu, L, where he like could only sing in chest voice. He didn't really sing in head voice. And then his growth with that, being able to sing in head voice, is also really highlighted in Taepung because he has lines where he's singing only in head voice and lines where he's singing only in chest voice or mixed. But then there's like one or two lines where he transitions between those two multiple times. And I was so proud when I heard that. And then Seungyeol, just the fact that like he sings many lines in a song now instead of not getting any lines, and it's stable. But for things that aren't as obvious in their vocal growth, aka for their main lead vocals, Woohyun and Seungyu, they have great tones and great voices to begin with, I will say that. So I'm going to be a little bit more nitpicky with them. The thing is, at debut, they did not have good technique for some things. One thing that they had a really bad habit of doing for high notes is that instead of adjusting and like elongating like ah and like lifting your soft palate and everything, they would just try to force it out. They would have the same placement and they would just try to force the note out, so it would make it sound more nasally and then it would still fall flat in pitch. And then also another bad habit that they had at debut more was pushing that sound out with their neck muscles. And I know a lot of idols would do that sometimes. They'll put more tension here because like it shows the veins and like that's cool for fans to see, but that really hurts when you're trying to push from your throat instead of from your diaphragm and your core. If you push from your throat for a long time, it's gonna hurt you in the long run. But the thing is, those things that I mentioned, they started like getting fixed and working on those. Improvement was showing as early as like the end of 2011. So like only a year into their debut. And now it's just great. I think I should stop here. Hey, and your turn.
Infinite started at such a high technical skill level across the board. The stuff I'm gonna say is stuff that I've noticed that's changed, and it's a little bit more nitpicky, which is fun for me because it's like actual technique stuff that has changed. I guess I'll just start with more of like a general comment and like a thought that I usually have about Infinite when I see like comments online or something where people say like, oh, XYZ member of Infinite like isn't as good of a dancer as this member, and I'm like, I don't understand those sorts of comments, because to perform the choreographies that they are given, you have to have such a high technical skill level that to me, being called like the bad dancer in Infinite is still at a higher level than most of the other people. And that being said, I think especially at debut, because similarly to with vocal comments that Anna said, like some of the members didn't train for as long, so there was a spread in technique, but like they have all gotten so much better that it's just insane. And one of the things that I always find very fascinating about Infinite choreographies is that most choreographies are created to the lowest skill level in the group. I think it's because the spread isn't that big, because the Infinite choreographies are not choreographed to the lowest skill level. They're choreographed to like a mid to mid-high skill level. In my opinion, honestly, what sets the main dancers apart, especially later in their career, is just the artistry that they put into their solo parts. Because as we all know, Infinite is known for their like knife-like dancing, their 99% synchronization. One thing that's very fascinating about all of the members when they dance is that they shed their personality to get that knife-like synchronization. So some other things that have really changed though as that technical skill level has developed, one thing that I noticed, it might have been there earlier, but especially in Nekohata and Be Mine, the dynamics that they use when they're dancing are so apparent. Because one thing in a lot of like K-pop choreographies, a lot of it is like we're gonna place our arm or we're gonna move our arm and it's all at one speed. But when you're training in dance, you always talk about dynamics. Like, is the focus on the out or is it on the in? Are you dragging that movement or is it a placed movement? Like, you really talk about those differences because you can do the same movement so many different ways if you just change the dynamic. And Infinite really plays around with that. Like, Negoacha is the perfect example of that because they have all of the like hit it out and then it slowly drags back in. And it's just not even just amazing, it's very impressive. And actually, I think one of the most interesting things is the fact that they're able to play with those dynamics is what makes them look like they have that knife-like choreography, because the sharp movements look so much sharper because they also know how to put a weight to the slow movements or to drag out a movement so that when they really hit something, it feels like they're actually hitting something. They also use a lot of very proper body placement, especially later on. Like when they do body rolls or when they do isolations, it's not just like, oh, I'm moving my chest or oh, I'm moving my hip. They're like contracting from their core, which is like pretty advanced for dancing. Like it's a pretty advanced like modern technique. Their bodies are in alignment when they're moving. And something else that has let them do, and this is one of my favorite things, and it's gonna sound so dance nerdy, they turn out from their hips. The first time I noticed it was in Paradise, and then like you can see it all the way through their most recent one because they do this a lot in Tell Me as well, in the chorus, is when they're standing in turned out positions or when they're moving their leg turned out, they're not just turning out from their knees, which is what most people do if you don't have the technical ability. They're actually turning out from their hips, which means that first of all, they have the muscle in their leg, which in dance we call them your rotator muscles, to actually do that movement and do it safely. And it's so much better for your body. Like turning out from your knees is a great way to blow your knee or to hurt the cartilage in your knee or to not be able to dance as long. But when you actually have the ability to turn out and use the muscle to turn out so you're doing it safely from your hips, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, I was in little dancer heaven. And then I think one of the biggest changes, their dances have gotten a little softer, which I think also comes with the songs that they have released in more recent years. So I think that is part of it, but also it comes from some of the stuff that's changed in their performance. So we should move on to that. Part of it, I think, is that over time they get more experience, they get more endurance, they get more comfortable on stage, but also they show a lot more of their personality now. They still are 100% together. Like if you paused the Infinite video, the dancing itself would still be synchronized, but they are a little bit more playful in their gestures and their solo parts. Like I noticed when I was watching their first few stages, like especially the debut stage, when one of them was singing their solo parts, I knew where to look because I know the song and I know who's singing the parts. Usually in K-pop dances, when it's someone's solo part, they like stick out and they make themselves like stick out, you know? I didn't get that in the Infinite debut stage. Like it was very much like we are one and we're moving as one, whereas now they are very well oiled machine parts, but they also know how to highlight themselves better because they know how to show that personality, that like
기부려.
Thank you. It's like the
it's not flirting, but like, you know, it's to like show your charm and like your flair during your part. Your flair.
Some of the members do flirt during their parts. Looking at you, Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So then for my thing, and it's kind of tied into vocals, but I thought it made more sense as a performance comment. When you look at their live stages, they sound pretty stable for their debut stage, but then like a year in-ish, it sounds like they got worse. And then they're improving again from there. But the reason for that is because at debut and in the beginning, their performance and like staging choreography was made so that when it was a person's part and their time to sing, they didn't really have to move a lot. So like they would just be standing there or like walking very slowly, or like if they are doing choreo, it's just like a standing still arm movement and like nothing moves from here up. I forget which song it is specifically, but starting around like 2011, 2012, they started actually like moving around and dancing a lot more when they're singing. So like stop. So they sound less stable because obviously that's taking up more energy. Like if you're like bending around your core area, that's less air from your diaphragm that you can use. But yeah, they're great performers.
Yeah. When we were talking about it, we realized we didn't have as many performance comments for Infinite just because so much of what has changed in their performance is directly tied to the comments that we made for vocals and for dancing. So that's why this is a little bit shorter. And then I guess we can move on to concept.
Concept-wise, I think we're gonna do like individually a little bit first. As a whole, like the members already felt a bit more personable, like human, which is different for the era of K-pop that they debuted in. At debut, they had You Are My Oppa, but at the same time, like even with that reality show, they still had like assigned roles given to them since they debuted at a time of K-pop where that was like super, we've talked about it before in the series, where that was like super prominent. Seungyu was dependable, reliable leader. Namhyun was like, cooks well, is the mom of the group. L, Myungsu, was like good looking, quiet, mysterious member. Like some of them, it's just like a little bit more of their real personality showing through, but still fitting the image. But then for other people, aka Myungsu, they like finally got to show their actual personalities. I mean, like, yeah, we can talk a little bit more about how they've changed.
So like Anna just said, like I think the biggest change that we see is Myungsu, because they've even said like on radio shows before and like on variety shows before that when they debuted, he was basically told not to talk and like not to smile, which is just so different than his actual personality. Like he's such a sweetheart.
We haven't talked about Dongwoo yet.
Okay, but Dongwoo is just an angel.
No, but it's really funny because Dongwoo on stage is like really intense.
Oh yeah,
rapper, so cool, and then off stage he's just weird. He's really nice, but he's so weird.
But he's always smiling. He's got the biggest smile. And then there's also like Seungyeol, rising variety star, like got super popular from all of his variety stuff. I feel like they've all just changed a lot.
It's been a decade.
Stop! Apart from how they've grown as individuals though, we were also discussing like how are they viewed as a group, but I think Anna can sum it up pretty well.
Especially for like their concepts and music style. I feel like it's just been like a natural growth and maturity as they have grown and matured as individuals.
We haven't mentioned it yet, which is weird because we mentioned it in every other Woollim React that we ever do on this channel. The continuity of it is probably because they have a very distinct Infinite sound.
Right. Infinite sound is 80s.
Yeah, like it's 80s, like electronic techno, like synth music, like all of that stuff. I don't know how we got this far in this video without mentioning it. We've mentioned it.
Because I mean, like all the big traits and like things that Infinite is known for, like their 80s techno sound, their synchronization when dancing, that's basically become descriptors for Woollim groups now. Not necessarily 80s, but like techno sounds.
I guess tied into what we just said about their like the things that have become hallmarks of the Woollim groups, Infinite as a whole has become very iconic. Like the Korean public really knows them very well, and that knife-like choreography is something that people like refer to. They refer to Infinite as kind of, I guess, the pioneers into that for K-pop, because
that's when the term really started being used more. And I guess just to tie up this section, I don't think it's just my bias for them speaking, but I truly think that, especially in Korea, they are very well loved and appreciated as a group. And like one of the iconic groups that you think of for like second or like 2.5 gen K-pop idols.
I don't think that's just your bias, because I'm thinking about like even more recent variety shows that individual members have been on. Like they're very well received.
How do we end this video?
But yeah, I guess ending these videos is always really awkward because we never know how to go. So that is all of the thoughts that we are going to include in this video. Obviously there's a lot more that you could say about Infinite. There's 10 years of growth and development and change. And so as always, if you agreed with us or if you disagreed with us, or if you would like to talk about something else that we didn't mention in this video because there's so much to talk about, please let us know in the comments.
So that being said, if you enjoyed this reaction analysis, if you also love Infinite and are also eagerly awaiting for all of them to come out of Kunde Army so that we can see them all together again, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, ding! and bye!